Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Mark One Tower, this is Albatross 1-3, requesting permission to land. Over.
I don't need a computer to tell me how to land a damn airplane.
6.
Heads-up display, check.
5,
Lasers, check.
4,
Particle beam, check.
3,
Photon bolts, check.
2,
Chair control, check.
1.
Let's do it.
Broadcasting from a secret underground location somewhere in Mos Eisley. This is the Docking Bay 77 podcast. Make yourself comfortable. The show is about to start.
Welcome to another episode of the Docking Bay 77 podcast, where tonight we're going to be talking about our top 7 film villains. Now, you can't have a good movie without a villain, and you can't have a great movie without a great villain. And so tonight we are going to unspool for you who we think are the 7 greatest movie villains. We'll see how this goes. We may turn out to have some villains among ourselves. With me tonight on this episode, we have the dastardly Disney John. Hello, Disney John.
Welcome in.
Ooh, goosebumps. And normally we call her the voice of reason, but those of us who know her well know that Amber is actually the mistress of madness. So welcome, Amber.
Oh, thank you, darling.
All right. No, villains, it's complicated. We had a number of discussions about this, and the first thing we did under Fearless Leader Dayton's order was exclude real people. We will not be talking about Jack the Ripper,
Nope.
whoever he or she may have been, or Captain Bligh, or Richard III, or any of those cool people, although they all have much to recommend them as villains.
Well, and the AFI list included them, which I think is just so tacky.
Well, not really, because it's a
too.
movie. It's still a movie,
But
and I understand.
that's a real Nazi.
No,
That's
I
disgusting.
get that. I
Like,
get that. I
that,
trust me,
I feel so
understand,
strongly
but
about that.
AFI just was like, they're going to look at the movie solely as a movie and not think about it from the human aspect
Yeah.
side. They're looking at it from
Fair.
cinematic. So I understand.
Perhaps.
I'm glad we didn't include real people, like, honestly.
Yes.
So I'm very happy about that.
Thrilled with that rule.
Exactly. So I mean, there's all different kinds of villains. There's like tragic villains, and there's villains who want revenge, and there's villains who want domination. There's villains who are just out to get something like a treasure or, whatever it may be. All different kinds of villains. So I'm really fascinated to know how our guest tonight built their list of villains. So Disney John, let us know, how did you make up your list?
So first I started with TV, and then Dayton said no. So then I had to reevaluate the entire list. And it got a lot easier, to be perfectly honest. The way that I did my list was I tried to stack the top of my list with the people who I really believe are true villainous, evil people. And the other ones that I have on my list building up to it are not necessarily maybe villains, but maybe misunderstood characters. And I wanted a wide variety of quote unquote villains for this. So like I think you'll see it's a journey through my list. But I did finally get it down. Like I told you guys right before we started the podcast, I had my list locked in 3 days ago. I was like, I refuse to look at it or think about it anymore. I was like, because if I do, I'm going to change it another 10 times. But I was like, I locked it in 3 days ago. I hope you all enjoy it.
Fantastic. My ink is still wet, so we'll see how this night goes. All right, Amber Lewis, what makes a villain for you? How did you put your list together?
So I put my list together. It was kind of like trivia night kind of thing, where it was like I just started making a list and was like, oh, what about this one? And then like just randomly throughout the day, Liam, our text messages back and forth are ridiculous because out of nowhere at 3:00 in the afternoon, I would just text him a character and trust that he knew I was talking about villains. And he would respond with like, ooh, that's a good one, or whatever. But for me, like, I have such specific criteria for villains. It made it so tricky because like they have to be defeatable. That is a very important thing. I don't like villains that are like too powerful. Like that takes all the fun out of it. So like it may be a challenge to defeat them, and you may have to go through a lot, or use all your brain cells and bring in a team and who knows what. But they have to be defeated at some point. Defeatable, I guess. Like you may not win, but it has to be possible. And then also like there has to be like a charisma there, a charm. You have to be interested in what they're doing, even if what they're doing is horrible. They have to make some kind of impression where you're constantly going, what are they doing? What's going to happen next? What's going to happen when they find out, even when they're not on screen.
So like the rotten neighbor kid who's the bully is not interesting because he's just not fun. Yeah.
And once I made my list, I was looking at it and all of a sudden it was like glaring to me. This character that I had on there, I was like, why did I even put this person on there? I hate this person. They ruin the entire movie for me, make the movie almost unwatchable.
Well, doesn't that make them a villain in and of itself?
No, because there's no fun there.
If it's,
like,
I mean,
the only fun is literally waiting for this person to like bite the dust. Because I hate them so much.
If they're not in your honorable mention, we will remind me. I want to get that name later.
Yeah, for sure. So that was kind of how I did it.
In my case, same thing. I started listing names. They were pouring out, and I went through and made a lot of exclusions first. And so part of it was I got rid of just monsters like Frankenstein and some of them, because first of all, we will be talking about monsters in October. We're going to do a series on Universal monsters. So I wanted to save some of that up. But also, I'm like, is Frankenstein a villain or is he just misunderstood?
Right.
Some of these just straight up monsters. And also,
is a coward a villain or is a coward just a jerk?
Right, exactly. So monsters were out. I love whodunits and Agatha Christie movies and all that, but I pretty much excluded all the different murderers in those kinds of films because I felt like usually the detective is sort of the hero, and often the murderer is just a plot device. They're not compelling in their own right, and they didn't really seem villainous. They were just they were murderers or whatever they were, but they were not. Right. The kind of rich, ripe villain that you really get behind. Half the time you don't even know who they are until it's over and you're like, what? Anyway.
Yeah.
And then I also tried to avoid the super obvious ones because that's kind of what part of my brand is. I like to call out the kind of obscure fun things that I like that I hope more people will be exposed to. And I did go through the AFI list, as Amber's already mentioned, and that helped me kind of weed out a few that I thought maybe are well known enough that we don't need them. So just
I have to call you on the text that you sent me. He was like, "Are we doing spoilers? Do we need to worry about that?" And I was like, "Usually, if a movie's older than 5 years, I don't worry about it, which means you're safe because you're not gonna pick anything past like 1940 anyway."
I think my newest movie is from 1972. So
that makes sense.
See,
so there you go. But still, it might be new to somebody, and I'd hate to be this show that like ruins like Titanic for them, and they find out the ship sinks, like that would just that'd be awful. But so anyway, so Amber's kind of already touched on this. What makes round table here? What makes a good villain? For me, it is, as Amber said, got to be charismatic or at least interesting in their own right, not just rotten and nasty. And part of that for me is their intent. I want to know what's in it for them. Why are they doing this? If it's just some bastard who just wants to like knock people down, that is not exciting. I want somebody who has a really well conceived, even if it is evil, plan, scheme, goal that you can not exactly root for, but you can plot out and follow. And then to Amber's point, perhaps make it or perhaps not make it. So that was kind of my thing. I like the villains that you almost could root for because they are that interesting and that dynamic, and aren't just either overpowering or just kind of boring and run of the mill. What else? Everybody else think? Anybody else have any ideas?
I will say that for me,
ideal villain.
For me, and you see her on my screen, and this is not me trying to backdoor this in. This just really is. Dr. Smith from the modern Lost in Space is the type of villain that I love because it's a person that it's just a normal, regular old, everyday person, and they just seem to always get away with it. Always. It's just like, oh my God, she's gonna get caught this time. That's great. Oh no, she doesn't. She slides her way out. Like it's just like these increments of like they keep going deeper and deeper into the story, and you're going like, please kill her now. And she keeps going deeper and deeper and crawling her way into everybody's lives. And all of a sudden it turns around and like, she's a good guy, and then she's a bad guy. And it's just like it's to me, those kind of villains, those people who just ingratiate themselves into the storyline, who just wiggle their way through, and they're so insidious in how they do it, and it's just so natural. Those are the villains that I'm just like, they make my skin crawl and I want to watch it again, right? Because they are interesting.
Well, that totally makes sense, and that does work perfectly well for series television versus
See,
a
that's
film,
exactly what I was
sure.
gonna say. Like that's what makes a good TV villain.
No, it makes
but you
a great
don't have
TV
time
villain.
for this in a movie.
No, you don't. But you still have that. You still have those types of villains though, who wend their way onto the good guy side, and you know that they're the bad guy, but nobody else does, type thing. That's what I'm talking about. That person who is so charismatic, who can get in there, and you're just like, oh my God, why is nobody noticing that this person is like evil, and get them out of there type stuff. So it's that kind of character like writing that I enjoy.
See, I kind of agree with Robert more. Like I respond better to a villain that is like wants something, and I can understand like they want this thing, like we were talking about the movie The Rescuers the other night, and she wants the diamond. Like I get it,
Yeah.
Well, that's the series versus film, and it's funny, they always say about series that the good series do almost the impossible because they have to be exactly the same every week, but they also have to be different enough that you can keep coming back, but it still have to always be the same. And since we're not backdooring in TV villains, I want to not backdoor in Benjamin Linus from Lost.
Yes! I was right there with you.
Another example, like Dr. Smith, of somebody who is just insidious, and you're like, are they good? Are they? And you're just watching them play people every week, and you're like, they're going to slip up. They're going to slip up. This time, someone's going to figure it out. And then they just smirk and walk away, and you're like, what the hell? And then they tune in next week. But anyway.
Well, and then the minute they do something horrible, they look at the camera and say, you guys got any milk? Yeah. And you're like, oh my God, I love you. You're amazing.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But we're not talking about TV.
We're
villains. No. Anyway,
I was literally just using her as an example.
Exactly. We're gonna talk about movie villains. Now, one last quick question before we dive into our list. The suspense, building suspense is part of a good villain. The suspense is going to be killing our listeners here. So we kind of touched on this briefly, but do we like villains who are like super obvious from the first frame, and they walk in with the black hat and you just know they're trouble, or do we like villains who sometimes are surprising, or there's a twist, or they come out of nowhere in the last 10 minutes and you gasp and drop your popcorn? Like how do we feel about, do we need a twist for a villain, or can they be a villain from the very start of the movie?
No, I am not a fan of the twist. And I will tell you, like, I was the moron sitting in Frozen and totally into the story and waiting for her to go kiss Hans. And then he leaned in and he said, oh, Anna, if only somebody loved you. And I was like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And
No,
Liam is laughing hysterically at me in the theater because he's like,
I remember that night. We were all there together.
Right?
Yeah.
John, I think you and I were the only ones that were like,
best reveal ever. I did not see it coming ever. Like I'm with you, Amber. I don't like a twist. I want to know who the villain is up front. If you're going to tell a story with the villain, let the villain be known for the front. And then this one just smacked me in the face.
Now I do like a slow burn though.
Yeah.
Where you're kind of starting to get uncomfortable and you're like, wait a minute, what they said is creepy and I don't know why. And and it starts to give you that uneasy feeling before the reveal. I could deal with that.
That's the thing about Hans that I did not like before we actually get to our list on list night here. But I love a good movie or a good mystery or a good film with a twist where once you know all the parts and pieces, you can watch it again and go, oh my God, there it was. Oh my God, there it was.
Yes.
Rewatching Frozen, and I believe I've seen it a couple times, is that the Hans build-up, although it is a jaw-dropper on a first viewing. Watching the movie again, there is not a single frame of that animation that reveals this is going to happen. And I to me, it's more fun where if you watch it the second time, you're like, oh my gosh, there he's got like he's hiding a stash of dynamite under the castle, like
or he
or whatever.
crossed his fingers when he
yeah,
made a promise.
Yes,
Anything.
I agree.
Those are always fun. Some of my favorite movies are the ones that have a reveal that multiple viewings reveal that you could have figured it out if you were really paying attention. I always kind of applaud that. Anyway, we're going to start with our number 7s and work our way up to our number 1s. I will start with Disney John. Disney John, who is your number 7 film villain?
Number 7, Darth Vader. So, okay, I have to say, AFI, I didn't look at the AFI list beforehand. Didn't even know
that
there was an
was
AFI
the
Heroes
first
and Villains
name that I
list.
put on my list, and that was also
Sorry,
the first
all
name I
7 of mine
crossed
come
off.
from the top 50, so I apologize now, but that's gotten brand for me. I choose the obvious. So, Darth Vader embodies the perfect villain because of his fall from grace as Anakin Skywalker and creates this emotional depth beyond that of typical antagonists. His intimidating physical presence, from the mechanical breathing to the imposing black armor, which gets shinier in Empire Strikes Back, creates an immediate visual menace that has become iconic in cinematic history. So I think, and this is the one villain that I really struggled with putting on the list because I don't know that he's necessarily a villain as much as a misunderstood youth who got led down the wrong path and then came back.
Well, but if you only focus on
Darth Vader,
Hope,
yes.
A New Hope, Darth Vader, Rogue One, Darth Vader.
Yes, 100% agree.
Those two Darth Vaders are 100% villain.
Yes, and that's the Vader that I choose to, because I remember watching. So I'm old, and I watched all of these in the theater. No, I watched everything from Empire Strikes Back on in the theater. I did watch Star Wars 33 times when it was on HBO. So I just remember the impact that you get from Vader, from marching onto Princess Leia's ship. I mean, he's just got a commanding presence. It's just, he's creepy. He's, I mean, it's great, right? So good villain. I that's my number 7.
I thought he would have been higher up for you. I'm glad.
Oh
he's
wait,
out of the way now.
yeah, exactly. Now you all are wondering what's at my top of my list.
I'm excited now. All righty, Amber, who is your number 7?
All right. Well, I'm going to start with a quote because I love this scene. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. The character says, "What if that ship wasn't even there? I didn't know. Okay, so if I just go and make a major security situation out of it, everybody steps in, administration steps in, and there's no exclusive rights for anybody. And I made a decision, and it was a bad call, Ripley. It was a bad call." And I am, of course, quoting from Aliens, Carter Burke. A representative.
Bravo, that performance, by the way. Applause.
I mean, I've seen the movie a couple of times. But no, Burke is a representative of Weyland-Yutani, and he presents himself as this young, kind of naive executive who befriends Ripley. He's kind of like, you figure he's low on the totem pole guy who has this kind of stupid assignment to, hang out with this woman. And he tells her like he understands what she went through and he genuinely wants to help her. And then once we reach LV 426, it's revealed that Burke deliberately sent the colonists to find the alien ship, resulting in the deaths of 157 colonists and the mess that Ripley and the Marines find themselves in. And he did it for the money.
It's a good motive or a bad motive, depending on how you feel. But I mean, money is
definitely one of the most popular ones.
They do say it's the root of all evil. I forget who says that, but somebody says that. Anyway, wow, from two outer space monsters back down to Earth with me. My villain is from the 1942 Disney film Bambi, and my villain is Man.
Oh,
yes.
Weirdly, I thought I was so clever and smart at thinking this because we love Disney villains. We're all Disney fans. That's how we know each other. And there's so many great Disney villains to pick from. So a lot of mine tonight will be kind of representatives. But
nice.
Man is on the AFI list. I was so disappointed. I was
really?
Like, really? Because I thought I really got that. But anyway, what I like about Man being the villain in this, it was super unexpected. This is like one of the earliest Disney feature films. So we haven't already seen Baloo die or pretend to die, and the fake Mufasa die, and all like we're not used to people dying in a Disney movie, except the bad guy. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, totally unexpected, man comes and spoiler, Bambi's mother gone. Starts the entire plot basically moving forward. It is horrific. It scarred a generation, but that makes it that much more powerful. And especially as an adult now too, when I rewatch, I know what's going to happen. I've seen the movie, but you always wonder, like, is man going to show up again? Like, could this be like another like random rifle shot and like bam, that owl's gone, or Flower or Thumper? I mean, it's kind of traumatic. But
well, because
anyway,
it was so unexpected too. There was no build up. It was like they're in the meadow and everything's fine until it's not.
Yeah, but perfectly, Walt was trying to get away from fairy tales and was trying to do something that was more realistic. I mean, obviously we have talking animals, but he wanted he chose Bambi to do because he'd already done some fairy tales and some fantasy films and wanted to do something that was a little more true to life. And unfortunately, man can be a villain sometimes. So, especially if you are a deer. So that was my number 7 for villains.
The dearest
Nameless Man.
Oh, that's
John. What have you got for number 6?
Okay, coming in at number 6, I have Agent Smith from The Matrix.
Ooh, good
Agent
one.
Smith elevates beyond a typical AI antagonist by evolving from a system enforcer to an existential virus consumed by the hatred for humanity. So he's going after man. See, we just have to wait several centuries and we'll get there.
Bambi's revenge. Okay,
yeah. That's great. His philosophical contempt for humans as a virus plaguing the world creates an unsettling depth, especially as he himself becomes the very infection he despises. Every time I see, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the actor's name, but every time I see him, when I saw
Hugo Weaving. Yeah,
that's it, Hugo Weaving. When I saw him in this, I saw Lord of the Rings next, right? And I go, right. Oh, look, Mr. Anderson. And I was just like, I couldn't not see that
he
anymore.
Can't be the best elf ever. He's evil.
I know, right? That's what, it broke my mind. It really did. I just think he plays such a great pivotal role in the movies, as such a good bad guy who's not actually a guy, but just this computer program. I really enjoyed his acting in the show, and I enjoyed like when he became the multiplicity of himself in the one fight scene. It was really fun and exciting. And he was bad. I mean, he wasn't necessarily bad. He was just driven by programming to eliminate the quote unquote virus of man. So number 6 is Agent Smith.
Nice. Amber, hit us with number 6.
All right. I wanted to have, I didn't mention this when I was talking about how I made my list. I wanted to have like a diversity in, different kinds of movies, sci-fi and superhero. And so this is my classic movie entry from 1940, the Alfred Hitchcock classic Rebecca, Mrs. Danvers.
Ooh.
In this movie, a young woman meets a widower while on vacation in Monte Carlo. After a whirlwind romance, they marry and return to his mansion in England. There, the new bride meets Mrs. Danvers, who is the housekeeper of the great house Manderley, who is still insanely devoted to the long-dead Rebecca and wastes no time preying on this poor young girl's insecurities. She manipulates her. She gaslights her. She eventually tries to convince her to kill herself by jumping out a window, in this quiet, menacing way, until finally completely becoming unhinged and burning the house down. She is so creepy. And Alfred Hitchcock uses all these little tricks. You never see her enter the room. It's all of a sudden, Mrs. De Winter turns around and there she is. You never see her come, you never see her go. And Dame Judith Anderson just has the absolute best time playing just the meanest woman on the planet.
I love that movie. She was one of my short list choices, so I'm glad you mentioned her. We always joke about the mirror scare. A lot of movies nowadays, the hero goes in the bathroom and then they close their mirror over their sink, and there's that person who's standing behind them, and like Mrs. Danvers does it without even a mirror. It's just like
Right?
it's so funny. It's just like you just like blink, and it's like, and there she is. It's like she is so creepy. And
I will
it
never
could've-
forget when we went to see Haunting in Venice and they have a mirror scare, and I like jumped completely out of my seat, and you were like on the floor laughing at me like you didn't see that coming. I'm like, no.
I love mirror scares, but yeah, and Mrs. Danvers is so great. Nice. Well, I'm glad. I have a Hitchcock villain coming up on my list too, but not right now. My number 6, still British, still big country house. So we've got that thread going through now. My villain is Andrew Wyke, played by the amazing Laurence Olivier in the, I will not just say the good version, the only version of Sleuth from 1972. People claim there's a remake. I can't believe that because nothing. Yeah. The movie is a fantastic, kind of funny, puzzly, witty film. Wyke, played by Olivier, is author of a number of mystery books. So you get this kind of like mystery within mystery thing, who has invited Michael Caine's character to his home and start just kind of playing games with him. This house is filled with puzzles and automatons and odd things and little, dolls that look from side to side, and it's all very mysterious. And you can't quite figure out what is going on until it is revealed that Milo, played by Caine, is having an affair with Andrew Wyke's wife, and Wyke does not care for that at all, even though he has no use for his wife. But he does not like that. And what's fun about it is it's extremely funny and witty. It's very arch. Both actors are hamming it up to the teeth. They both got Best Actor nominations for this film, and kind of canceled each other out, did not win. It's also a great, on a rewatch, to notice the movie has a lot to say about class and prejudice because Olivier's character is a lord and very posh and very old school. And Caine's character is possibly an immigrant. We don't really know, who changed his name from Tindalini to Tyndall and is lower class and has an accent. So there's a lot of classism and things like that, commentary that slips in along with all the humor. It is one of the great mystery films, and that there's kind of 3 distinct sections, and each one has a great big surprise twist, and then they kind of reset, and then they do it again, and they reset, and finally it has it finally ends. But I shouldn't say it finally ends because it's delightful. But and it's got everything. It's got a hedge maze. It's got costumes and disguises. It's got impersonations. But it is also hilariously funny. But Olivier's character, who starts off as jolly and eccentric old Englishman, it turns out to be just horribly sadistic. I mean, he's as nasty as he was at the dentist in Boys from Brazil. But
and that's what I was going to say. Like, there's an undercurrent there, if you pay attention, where like no wonder his wife had an affair, because he was like torturing her through their whole marriage, because he just likes to manipulate people.
And he has his own mistress, who he basically treats like dirt. He treats her like dirt, like an object. And it's such a great movie, but he's so evil because he's just so calculating and so, well, it ends up being his undoing, oblivious to reality. He has got his little perfect world he is the king of, in his little castle, and no one gets to do anything that he doesn't like until, alas, the movie ends, and then we have a little bit of a switch up. But great movie, also directed by the terrific Joseph Mankiewicz, who started off with things like All About Eve and so many classic movies he either wrote or directed or both. And this was his last film, and it's polished beautifully. It's pretty much all set in this home with just a handful of actors, and it is beautifully directed as well as very funny and a great mystery. But Andrew Wyke, he may look posh, but he is nasty, nasty, nasty. So you got to watch out for those guys.
I just put that on my list to watch.
Yeah.
Oh,
good
you've never
choice.
seen Sleuth?
I've never seen it. No, I'm definitely going to be definitely watching this.
So
yeah.
good.
Move along to our number 5. So, John, who is your number 5?
Okay,
villain?
so staying in the sci-fi realm, but my first 3 are sci-fi picks. I was worried that Amber was picking it earlier, but I went with the xenomorph from Alien. I didn't disallow monsters, because this is literally the only monster I have on my list. It's probably the only monster that actually gives me chills still today. He's just so flipping creepy. And And
but is
it's
it
just
a
a
villain?
bug.
He's
It's
the
not a
antagonist.
villain.
He's not a villain.
Is it a villain or is it just I mean
It's so
just trying to
chose
watch
call-
out for his kids or her kids, right?
I
think
I
isn't it
chose
supposed
to
be-
Yeah.
count it as a villain only because it was killing humans. So I really anthropomorphized what
Fair.
I thought of as a villain in this case, because I don't disagree with that. It's a biologically driven impetus. I mean, like if you watch the whole things, they were actually created to do this. So but this is their biological sending. We as humans would view this as a villain, as something bad against us. That's why I chose the xenomorph as a villain in this case. Maybe not in its truest sense, but
I don't know. I would argue the predator is a better.
I would disagree. I wouldn't disagree.
The predator was deliberately hunting.
Okay, fine. So the predator would be my number 5. Ha, you've uncovered my ruse. It's the predator. You're right. Get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper.
Yeah, no, you are correct. Yes, the predator is a much better villain in the classic sense. I chose the xenomorph because it creeped the shit out of me. Like this thing was
definitely terrifying.
Like,
yeah,
and to me, like that's how I'm looking at it from
at Disney World. Ugh.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh my God. Every time they come down, you're like, oh, please don't put me in that car. Oh, here it is. Yay. But yeah, I chose the xenomorph / the predator. So yeah, the xenomorph is mine. I think he's just, oh my God. It's he's creepy.
It lingers. Yeah.
It does. It really does. It really lingers.
Amber, what have you got for number 5? Are we still out in outer space, or have we moved somewhere else?
Nope. We have landed in I have a hard time picking my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. They all have things that make me deliriously happy. And it's hard to choose which one I think is the best. But definitely for me, the best villain he ever created is Hans Landa, the Jew hunter from Inglourious Bastards. He is a Nazi officer who uses charm and intelligence and intimidation. He speaks like 5 languages, and he's looking throughout occupied France for Jews that are in hiding. And he can make drinking a glass of milk absolutely terrifying, and you are just sick to your stomach the entire time, even though he's being completely charming and putting you at ease. And then he adds an additional layer of evil by, metaphorically, he jumps the Nazis' sinking ship and negotiates his surrender, where it's going to see him being a war hero for turning on the Germans. He's going to get full immunity for his war crimes, medals, American citizenship, a house on Nantucket. Like, he gets this whole package put together. But luckily for us, the last 2 remaining bastards make sure to mark him as a Nazi in a way he can't take off.
Nice.
Nazis always bother me as film villains because they were such spectaculars. That's not the word I want, but villains in real life.
Yes. But that's why I was okay with this one, because he isn't a real
but still,
character.
I mean, as soon as I see anything like that, it just kind of freaks me out, because I'm like, this is so close to true, even if it's totally fake. It makes me uncomfortable.
Yes.
Well, my number 5, we're jumping to the world of fantasy, so we can get away from Germany and allies and all that. It is super, super obvious who I'm talking about. Played by Margaret Hamilton in the 1939 classic, The Wizard of Oz, Miss Gulch.
What?
Not the Wicked Witch, Miss Gulch.
You went for the dog killer.
That woman was so mean to dogs. I just can't
hit him with a
deal.
rake.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like stuffing him in a basket. You know she's going to find a river to drown him in. I mean, like, I just cannot deal with Miss Gulch. No, but seriously, also Wicked Witch. I suppose I can include her in the package because it was a dream. But she's on film for such a short little amount of time, and she's so obvious and broad, and her motivations are kind of minimal. She wants the damn shoes. I don't know what's going on, but she is just an entire, how many generations of children just fled in tears, whether they were in the movie theater or watching it on Thanksgiving night or whenever it was broadcast. She is so indelible as just a wicked witch. And now we have the Wicked movie after the musical, all really inspired with the green face and the black hat and all that. All came from Margaret Hamilton, which none of that was from the book. She was not green in the book. But anyway, just like I said, I couldn't make a villain list and not include one of the uber villains because she just, like I said, I think it's 7 minutes of screen time, 6 minutes of screen time in the film. But she just like, you just want to cringe. But Miss Gulch is also pretty awful too. So I got a 2 for 2 characters, same actress.
Nice.
She has one of my favorite lines in the whole movie. I love it when she says, "You stay out of this, Glinda, or I'll fix you as well."
Yeah, exactly.
That scene between her and Billy Burke is hilarious to me.
Well, yeah, when Billy says that great line about you better be careful, somebody's going to drop a house on you too. And you see Hamilton just like flinch and like look up like ooh, how many houses are coming down tonight? Like it is they're wow. I can see why Gregory Maguire wanted to explore the backstory of these 2 women because they are so catty to each other. It's kind of spectacular. But only one was the villain, and that was the Wicked Witch. Anyway, all righty. So we are chugging along here. Number 4, John, what is your number 4 villain?
Number 4. I have also entered the fantasy realm. We are going with Lord Voldemort, as he captivates a villain by combining supernatural powers with some deeply human fears of death, and creating a monster whose terror stems from his willingness to shatter his soul in pursuit of immortality. Gosh, I hope nobody had spoilers there because whoopsie or crux. And then him and Harry Potter kind of turn the whole thing from just not a villain and a hero, but it's like more of a battle for good versus evil as well, which I enjoy. And I think Voldemort was a great villain. He was always a foil to Harry. He was always there, like ready to stop the good guys from doing what they were doing, or the good guys to stop him from doing his bad things. He had minions, which I think is also a thing for villains. They all have to have some kind of minion, and they had Death Eaters, which were great. So I really, Lord Voldemort with his chopped off nose, his snake-like visage, it was just, he's kind of a great villain, really. I like the way that they portrayed him in the movies, like visually. It's not what I had in my head, but I was like, oh, that's really actually it. That's good. Like, you know what I mean? Like when I saw it for the first time, I'm like, yep, that's good. Okay, I'm good with that. But the only thing that movies got right. So yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, I was not going to acknowledge that franchise. However, I would have picked Umbridge or Bellatrix. I think Umbridge is the worst thing ever.
Oh, no, we've got a person at my office that we call Umbridge, actually.
I think everybody knows an Umbridge.
Yeah, no, seriously, if you put a bow tie on her and she went, I mean, right. You would go, holy crap. I don't disagree. I think both of them have their villainous ways, but Bellatrix is a minion. As no matter how powerful she is, she's still a minion, and Umbridge is just an ugly woman. Just right? Inside and out. She was just not a good person.
Somebody that you have to see at the office probably can't be on the greatest villains list.
Yeah, exactly.
What I love about her is that Imelda Staunton also does a lot of stage work and is known for her warm, loving, delightful portrayals in musical comedy. She just finished a sensational Olivier Award-winning run, I think she got the award, in Hello, Dolly, where she's like warbling and matchmaking and being sweetness and light. And I'm like, damn, she's good. She can pull this stuff off. And
she's in Peter's Friends and plays like the most heartbreaking character. Like, you just love her and Hugh Laurie so much. And like, she makes you cry and you just want to give her a hug. And then you see her in this and you're like, heck?
Yeah.
No kidding. Oh, wow.
Nice. Amber. So you kind of slid in some alternate Harry villains. Who is your real number 4?
My number 4 is surprisingly to some listeners, my favorite superhero villain, super villain of all time. And then specifically this iteration, who says, if you gotta go with a smile, from the 89 Batman, the Joker.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The Joker is my favorite superhero villain. I love like every version of him, the Mark Hamill voiced version in the animated series, the Heath Ledger version. I mean, I just love the Joker. But Jack Nicholson's Joker is just absolutely the best. He has the highest murder count of any version of the Joker, at 50 people, including fellow criminals, innocent Gothamites, poor Jerry Hall, whose face he melts first. And then last but not least, like faithful Bob. Like Bob's there with him the whole time. And then finally he just gets mad and he's like, Bob, gun. And Bob hands it over and he shoots him. So no one is safe around this Joker. And Jack Nicholson was able to make him funny and terrifying in equal measure. So that is my number 4.
As soon as you started talking about superheroes, I thought you were going to honor us with Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor.
I know, that's what everybody thinks.
Just because of your love of Superman so much. And
yes, and I do love Lex Luthor very, very, very much.
He's so
and Gene Hackman.
comical. He's
just, well, yeah, and he's like I love the idea of President Luthor, and you know, like everything he does is just so funny and clever, but not really terrifying. You know,
but he gets points off for having like Ned Beatty and Valerie Perrine as your sidekicks. Obviously, he's not that smart a villain because you don't surround yourself with idiots if you're going to try and have like world domination. But nice. You
he does ask that question. Why is the greatest criminal mind of our time surrounding himself with total nincompoops?
Yeah. Because it was good for a laugh, and I went back to the theater about 10 times that summer and saw that.
Yes.
Anyway, what a movie. All righty. My number 4 is another kind of representative one that could have been a lot of different villains in this field, but there's a whole category of movies that are kind of like these campy, crazy lady movies that all came around starting in the mid-60s up to the 1970s, that started with Whatever Happened to Baby Jane with Joan Crawford and Bette Davis. I did not pick that movie. There got to be so many of them that Roger Ebert called them the menopausal mystery movies because they trotted out everybody. So Bette Davis was in The Nanny, and Joan Crawford was in a movie called Straight Jacket. It was her last picture. You got to see it to believe it. I am obsessed with those movies. They're all so bad. They're fabulous. But the one that is the most bad and consequently the most fabulous, well, actually, it's not even bad. It's actually really good. But it's called What's the Matter with Helen? Directed by Curtis Harrington, who was also a huge film scholar and helped like reclaim James Whale's reputation and did a bunch of stuff. What's the Matter with Helen is set in the 1930s, so I'm already like, licking my chops and getting ready to eat popcorn. And Debbie Reynolds and Shelley Winters play these two women who are friends, who something mysterious has happened and they had to leave Kansas and they moved to Hollywood to set up a dance studio. Debbie has dreams of stardom. She knows she's going to be discovered. Helen, Shelley Winters' character, is kind of the lumpy sidekick, and she plays the piano and is kind of handles the business. The basic plot is that they have left Kansas because ostensibly their boys have done something terrible, and there was so much bad publicity they had to leave Kansas because their boys had killed a bunch of people or some undisclosed horrible thing. It is slowly revealed that Shelley Winters' character is batshit crazy. She is like a religious fanatic, and she's incredibly like has this sort of like lesbian thing going on where she's like sort of obsessed with Debbie Reynolds' character. But Shelley unravels in this movie. Shelley Winters is a special actress anyway, but my God, I mean, she just starts off kind of like edgy and strange. And by the end of it, you were just like, she's going to stick her hand in the electric fan. She just did. Oh my God, what a freak. And it just goes on and on from there. And it has one of the best 5 minutes or so ending of a film that haunted me for years. This movie was unavailable for a long time because it's so bad, but they finally got a DVD of it. Ultimately, it turns out that Shelley Winters' character was the one who killed her husband. She framed their own boys. She's the one who killed all the rabbits in the backyard. She did all the horrible things long before Glenn Close. Shelley Winters was killing white rabbits. Anyway,
right? I was gonna say Glenn Close totally watched this movie.
Oh, she did, and and the whole time Shelley just kind of like dithering and acting out of it, but this is a homicidal bitch on wheels. But so at the end, Debbie is now going to leave Helen and start off on her own because now she has this fiance and they're going to be married, and that leaves Helen alone. And Helen is just not going to have that. So we're not sure what's going to happen. So Dennis Weaver comes to the door to pick up Debbie for the date, and you hear this rehearsal music playing of the song Goody Goody. So he comes in and the house is all dark, and and he like goes down the stairs to the dance studio and is asking, Debbie Reynolds, where are you? Then we hear the piano music, and Helen says like, oh, we're in here, we're rehearsing, and she's pounding away at the piano with her demented Shelley Winters face. And then you go in, and there's this great reveal. There's Debbie Reynolds, all made up in her little sailorette cap outfit with about 20 stab wounds in her, pinned up against the board.
Oh,
dead.
God.
Bang, the end. Yeah, and there's Helen just like playing the piano. And it is little young me was grossly disturbed by this, but then also just little Gaby me was just like, this is so camp and fabulous. I must see this movie again, even though it was disturbing. So
Nice.
If you like whatever happened to Baby Jane or any of those movies in that weird 10-year genre they had, a little mini genre, definitely seek out What's the Matter with Helen. It is wondrous to behold.
Holy
Nice.
crap. That is just amazing.
Debbie was never better. She's great. I mean, it's got everything. All right. And now, number 3, John, top that.
Right?
Oh man, okay. So
And now for something completely
different. I'm gonna say that my last 3, and again, like I said, I did not know that AFI had the top 100 or top whatever heroes and villains. So my next 3 are every single one of them are on the list. So one of the movies that I grew up watching, I still watch it every Christmas because it's the best Christmas movie that was ever produced. It's Hans Gruber from. I was waiting for you. I was waiting for your look, Amber. It's Hans Gruber, baby. Like he is such a smooth criminal. Like it is so great. It just
I couldn't decide between him and the Sheriff of Nottingham, so I ended up putting neither.
Okay. So
and while we're doing Rickman, he's on my honorable mention list for Love Actually.
Nice.
I took him off because he's not exactly a villain, but my God.
He is, though. He makes Emma Thompson cry. But if you watch Love Actually first and then turn on Die Hard, he gets what he has coming to him.
There you go. I love that. You kind of karmic double feature. I'm going to do that next time. And they're both sort of Christmassy. It's perfect. It's like a holiday family tradition now. Sit down with your ham and watch Alan Rickman bite the dust after him. No, yeah. So yeah, isn't he good at villains? And
he is great. He's a great villain. Like he is such a spectacular villain in this whole show. Like I mean, the movie was great from beginning to end. Anyhow, I mean, it's a great. Die Hard is such a great movie, but Rickman's like bad guy portrayal here. Like the only reason I was sad that he died at the end was that he couldn't be in the second movie. Okay.
Right?
I mean, in all honesty, that's the only reason I was sad that he died. I mean, but it was like the perfect ending for a perfect criminal. He's just, God, he's so good. He's so smooth and he's just like prim, proper, got that British accent, can get away with anything. And
that
then
whole conversation with Takagi is
the conversation with Takagi when he's trying to like get one by on John. Like when he's like, oh, you got a cigarette and you smoke. And like he is just a smooth criminal. And like, again, charismatic, which is what we were talking about earlier. He wants something. He wants those bearer bonds. Like, so, I mean, like he hits all of the notes that all of us like about a criminal or about a villain. He is just so good at it. Oh yeah. Hans Gruber, baby.
I knew he'd be on somebody's list tonight, so I was just waiting to hear the name Alan Rickman. So
Captain Obvious for me.
It's a great choice.
Yeah, he's number 46 on the AFI list.
Like I said, I had both of those, and I couldn't choose between them, so I threw them both out because I was like,
"You're just like I can't do it.
I can't handle."
All right, Amber, have you done your number 4? I've got so excited about Alan Rickman.
Yes, we're on number 3. You just did your number 3.
Crossing off John. I haven't been crossing off enough. All right.
Okay.
There you go.
So this is now my number 3.
Correct. I caught up. Thank you.
Very close to being number 1. Like this one, it was hard to kind of push him down the list because he's just the worst. From the classic 50s movie Ben-Hur, Masala, played by Stephen Boyd. This freaking guy, like, he is Judah Ben-Hur's childhood, quote unquote, brother, quote unquote, best friend, gay lover, who sees an opportunity for advancement in the Roman hierarchy at the expense of Judah. He goes to Judah and he's like, hey, how about you screw over all of the Jews to help a brother out? And Judah's like, I can't really do that. So then Masala has him sent to die in the galley of a slave ship, throws his mom and his sister in the deepest, darkest dungeon of the prison for 5 years. Masala knows Ben-Hur is innocent. He knows he didn't do anything wrong, but he wants advancement. And so he just screws over these people who have basically been his family for like almost his entire life. And then, as if that's not enough, he tortures and cripples Ben-Hur's servant, like, who just went to like say, hey, listen, I've got evidence that he's innocent. And he's like, really? You're sorry you said that? I mean, nobody avoids getting the worst possible treatment from this guy. And then it leads to arguably one of the most satisfying battles and deaths in cinema history, with the chariot race where he's a cheater pants and he has that spiked chariot and he gets his anyway. And it's absolutely so satisfying and so fabulous. And you still have like an hour of movie left after that.
That is fantastic. I didn't even think of that. But he is all that you say. He is so bad.
He's such a bastard.
Well, my number 3 is, again, kind of a representative, although I stand by my choice. But I couldn't not think of Hitchcock movies when we started talking about villains. And, of course, Norman Bates crossed my mind, as did the young fellas in the movie Rope. But I felt like in both those cases, I mean, Psycho was kind of overplayed anyway, but I felt like, there's tinges of perhaps genuine mental illness in that. And so are they really villains or are they just troubled? And so I didn't really want to go down that road. But Hitchcock has so many fabulous villains, for sure, as Amber's already tipped us off to one. So mine is from the movie that Hitchcock considered his very best film, as did a lot of others. It got 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Weirdly, the screenplay is by Thornton Wilder, best known for Our Town and The Matchmaker, from which the musical Hello Dolly we were just talking about was from. It is the movie Shadow of a Doubt from 1943.
I love this one.
Isn't it great? Yeah. So my villain is Joseph Cotton as wonderful, sweet old Uncle Charlie, who turns out to be a psycho killer, serial killer by the name of the Merry Widow Killer, and even has his own little creepy theme song and everything in true Hitchcock fashion. What's great about this one is that it's early Hitchcock, and so kind of like Rebecca, and he doesn't have what came to be later for me to be kind of almost like a fault. He doesn't have these big set pieces. He doesn't have a shower scene or a falling out of the bell tower scene or whatever. The whole movie is just filmed in San Jose, California. This middle-class family, upper middle-class family. Everything is very realistic. The sun is always shining. We do get some great comic relief from Hume Cronin's character, who is obsessed with murder mysteries, and so that is kind of funny and kind of meta. But it doesn't have those Hitchcock trademark, weird camera shots and all that. But it is just so good. And the basic premise is that Uncle Charlie is coming to visit this family, and the young woman who is the daughter in the house, it's her favorite uncle. She's named after him. She can't wait to see him. It's delightful. And as the movie is revealed and plays out, the two detectives come and are starting to ask questions about Uncle Charlie, because they're on the lookout for a notorious serial killer who has been killing people all up and down the East Coast. And the daughter starts to come to the realization that her uncle might actually be a serial killer. It is great to watch. The performances, I'm not a big Joseph Cotton fan normally, but he is so good in this. He can just go from charming and sweet to a little flicker of his eyebrow, and then you just are afraid he's going to reach out and throttle somebody. But great Hitchcock. I did not know that Hitchcock himself thought it was one of his favorites, but he did, and I can see why, because it's just lovely and sunshiny and a happy, happy world. And yet there's this sinister, evil man who was going around killing women and even starting to go after people in his own family.
Well, and he gives Charlie a ring that he took as a trophy from one of his victims.
Yes.
Like, it's so gross.
Yeah, it's like, here, this is for you. Oh, don't mind those initials in there that I scratched out. That's nobody. Yeah, and such a fun film, and because he's just so mild mannered and so normal, and the rest of the setup is so just ordinary, a small town life that it makes it all the more sinister and awful. And so yeah, love this one. I almost never think of it with Hitchcock. I think of the big flashy, showy ones, but this is a terrific film.
Another one for my list.
Yes.
Indeed.
It's a good
you
one.
are the designated Dayton tonight, Dastardly
Yeah.
Disney John.
Apparently,
because,
yeah.
He takes notes. He takes notes when I'm on and says, "I need to see that. I need to see that." So,
Yeah, that's exactly
that's what I'm here for.
gonna do.
Both broadening your film education. That's my role.
I
All right,
appreciate it.
we are getting ever close to our number ones, but we still are going to do our number twos. And so, John, what is your number two film?
My number 2 is number 17 on the AFI list, apparently. I'm kind of embarrassed I didn't even think about looking there again. I'm just like, I can't believe I never looked at here. But this person terrifies because she embodies the dark side of adoration, transforming fan devotion into possessive control with a
It's my
disarming
number 2 as well.
Oh, really?
I'm your
Ooh.
number one fan.
And she's on my honorable mention list.
I'm so
go
excited
for
that
it,
you guys
guys.
chose somebody on the list because I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be alone in this. I'm going to be picking all the obvious ones. But freaking Annie Wilkes, like, is terrifying to me. I remember watching this movie, Misery, for the first time. And Kathy Bates is playing. Is it Kathy Bates? Is that right?
Yes.
Kathy
Yes.
Bates is playing Annie Wilkes. And she is so normal until she's not. And she starts talking about hobbling. I'm like, what the hell's hobbling? And it's like, oh no, don't do that in front of my eyeballs.
Out come the wood blocks and that big sledgehammer. Yeah.
God.
Well, and she's equal parts when she's talking about why she's angry with Paul.
Yes.
She is equal parts like nerdy
Mm-hmm.
and like unhinged.
Yes.
And when she first starts showing these peaks of the crazy, you're not sure, like, is this just a really lonely person?
Nope.
Or is there something wrong? And, you know, I read this book more than once before the movie came out.
Right.
And loved it and was terrified by it.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot believe that they ever found an actor that could play her.
Oh my God. I can't imagine anybody else playing Annie Wilkes. Like Kathy Bates.
And it's worth pointing out that she actually got the Academy Award for playing this role, which is interesting because one of the things I was noticing as I was putting my list together. So with my 7, and then I have about 5 runner-ups, including Annie Wilkes. Almost every one of them got a nomination for Best Actor or Actress or Best Supporting Actor or Actress. So those good, juicy villain roles do a lot for a career. Mm-hmm. But of the people at least that I have picked or I was looking at, only Kathy Bates won, and it is so clear why. It is a performance for the ages. Yeah.
Well, and my favorite part, you know, John mentioned the hobbling scene, which everybody talks about, and it's
shocking.
Horrible. Like it makes you want to just absolutely vomit. And arguably worse than what happens in the book, I would even say.
Okay.
But for me, the most terrifying scene for me is when you know that she's this huge fan of the Misery Chastain books, of which there are like a dozen. And the latest book is coming out. And we already know that Paul Sheldon, the author, has killed off Misery Chastain.
Yes.
This is the last book she's ever going to appear in. She dies in the book, and he wants to move on and write other things and maybe be a real novelist, as he says, you know. Yep. And so Annie comes home from the store, and she's so excited because she got the new Misery book. And she can't wait to go start reading it. And you and Paul have the same reaction, which is like, oh, dear Lord, what is going to happen when she gets to the end of this book?
Now I'm
Oh,
dead.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that
I'm
to me
screwed.
is the most terrifying part, is everything that she has built with her character up until then. She hasn't really done anything terribly horrific
No.
yet. But just the knowledge that she's unhinged and you don't know how far she's going to go. I mean, what a brilliant performance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it definitely. Like I said, it really struck me as I was running through all the nominations, going, "Wow, all these villains we're talking about, many of them got actor and actress nominations from the Oscars. Only Bates won, and I think that is
Interesting.
I'm
Well,
not surprised you both
deservedly
came up with
so.
her number 2.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, it's interesting because that's another one, kind of like we were talking about Sleuth earlier. I mean, there's a few people at the beginning and end, but basically it's 2 people in a room
Yeah.
for the entirety of the film. And to be able to get that much tension and horror and everything.
Yeah, shout out to James Caan, who I've never been a huge fan of, but like he and Kathy Bates together, you know, we always talk about chemistry and love stories and stuff, but the chemistry in this is really important. And
well, because early on in his career, he had so much charm early on in his career, and then he started playing kind of like bastards and gamblers and rough guys, but he was charming and delightful. And so the fact that you can kind of see him kind of twinkling for her and like, okay, I'm going to placate you now and don't hurt me anymore. It drew from something that he kind of had earlier on in his career. Such great casting. My number 2, to move along, is another horrible woman. This one, not quite. Well, we'll see if she's as bad as Annie. This is a Bette Davis role. This is from 1941. It is an AFI villain, a number 43 I have written down. Regina Giddens in the film The Little Foxes.
ooh, yes.
The movie is brilliant. It's based on the Lillian Hellman play. The play gets revived about every 20 years. So The Little Foxes is set in the deep old plantation South. And it's about this rich family that is kind of down on their luck. And there's a lot of things going on with scheming and backbiting and manipulating each other. This family is not fun, but they're fun to watch. But Bette Davis is kind of this mastermind of evil in this film. Betty is fantastic as a kind of this like Black Widow spider character. So she has this really severe makeup in the movie where she has like this powdered face and these like slit eyes, and she looks evil and sinister all the time. As the play goes along and the family is scheming and backstabbing and all the things they're doing, the highlight of the movie, her husband has a horrible heart problem and is in a wheelchair, and he's also the only thing standing between her and the rest of her aspirations of getting all the money and all the control. He starts to have a heart attack because she is taunting him and being evil and taunting him, and he's like said to her, "Quick, get my medicine, and she just stands there and stares at him. And he's like, go get my medicine, and she just stands there with this face of silent disdain and evil. So then this poor old dude in the wheelchair is like clawing his way to the stairway and like clawing his way up the stairs, trying to get upstairs to get his medicine so he will not die on the spot. And Betty hovers over and says to me is one of the great film quotes, where she says, "I hope you die. I hope you die soon." And just stands there, and then she watches him die right then and there. And then the brothers bumble into the room, and she's like, "Oh my God, he needed his medicine, and I was trying to help him." And and she tells her lies and gets her way and backstabs about 5 more people. And at the end of the movie, poor Regina, she owns the bank, she has the money, she has this giant empty house now. Everybody, the brothers, the daughter, they've all left her because she is nasty and evil and spiteful. But her, "I hope you die. I hope you die soon." I say it in my head often when I am driving or at the grocery store behind somebody who's dumb or just, whatever. And but yeah, it is great. The immortal Bette Davis, Oscar nominated and also an AFI villain in that movie as well. She was my number 2. So we're going to pause for a minute, take a little break.
Welcome to the All 80s Movies Podcast.
I'm Bill.
And I'm Jason. And this is the podcast where we talk about the blockbusters, the flops, and everything in between from one of the freshest decades for movies, the 1980s. So whether you're a brain, a jock, a valley girl, or a Jedi, we've got some 80s classics for you.
Do these movies stand the test of time? Are we discovering something new? Is there an 80s movie we are finally watching for the first time?
Join us each week as we dive into the cinematic nostalgia that inspired and influenced a generation. From the hits to the cult classics, we'll discuss our earliest memories, favorite scenes, fun facts, and our not-so-favorite movie moments, too.
You can find the All 80s Movies podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. Please subscribe and happy listening.
Alrighty, so before we get to our number ones, I have a couple of kind of bonus questions I threw at Amber and John at the last minute. Just one kind of for fun, for balance. We've been talking about evil and disreputable people and homicide and murder and hobbling, and it's not been pretty. So just for real quick, each of you give us a film hero so we can kind of cleanse our palates before we dig into the depravity of our number ones. I don't care. Amber, go. Who is the hero you like in movies?
I have two. Can I have two?
You can have two.
Okay, good. My two heroes that I picked, I didn't want to go obvious because everybody's like, oh, she's going to say Superman, which is true. But I wanted to go more realistic. And so the two that I picked are Marge Gunderson from Fargo. She is just the kindest and smartest and most honest person. And you see her, nurturing her husband and her coworkers while she's also solving this crime. And she's just absolutely amazing and is the sheriff in this little town, not defined by her pregnancy, but not above using it to get on the good side of someone that she's trying to interrogate that doesn't want to talk to her, and she is just what you want, what you wish all police officers would be. She is just absolutely amazing and gets the man at the end, which is, she has her husband that she takes care of. And then she also, gets the bad guy. So I love her so much. And then my other choice was, I couldn't choose between the two of them. Mark Watney in The Martian. I
nice.
love the way, this is what I loved about the book, was the way, as he says, I'm going to science the shit out of this. And he uses his intelligence and his knowledge, and it's work the problem. What's the first problem we have to solve? Okay, what's the next problem we have to solve? And the way he really controls his fear in this absolutely terrifying circumstance and has setbacks. Not every idea that he has works. And then the ones that work, he gets problems arise that he didn't plan for, and he just keeps working the problem. And it's so funny when he finally gets in contact back with NASA and he's like, of course, now they're trying to tell me how to do what I've already been doing for like 3 months, but whatever. I just love his resilience. And even though there's not really a villain in that movie, he is definitely a hero.
Oh, nice. I love that.
That's a good one.
You do love your space. You love your astronauts and your space. You just,
I can't even.
John.
So I didn't go so much for a hero as a superhero, because the only hero that I ever think of, if you told me, like, let's talk about a hero, Captain America.
Captain America.
100%. 100%. I, at the drop of a hat, will watch that movie just because I think he's
Steve Rogers. Perfect human.
It's seriously like perfect human being. I love Steve Rogers. I love how he maintains it throughout the entire Marvel universe. Like he's always he's Steve Rogers. I have to do the right thing. Talks about his barbershop.
Never lets you down.
Right. So for me, I went with the obvious again. That seems to be my shtick. So I love him. I think he's great, but I kind of like The Martian too, because that was a really good choice. Like seriously, that's so good.
Our mistress of madness has slipped into sanity for a minute, and
I know, right?
Something we all agree on. I also kind of went for more broad and obvious rather than an everyday hero like Marge. I love things that are in series. I find them kind of reassuring and comforting. So I also kind of picked two because I couldn't choose one over the other. Anything with Robin Hood or Tarzan, book, movie, TV show, love them both, except when it's Kevin Costner. Hate it.
You're crazy.
Oh,
There it
no,
comes.
worst. I mean, yeah.
Oh my
back.
goodness.
She's back.
That was awful. But no, but anytime I just love the fact there's just something, like I said, reassuring about the idea that they're going to have these scrapes and these adventures, and it's going to be a volcano, or it's going to be King John or whoever, and they always come out on top, and they're always resourceful, and they're always kind, and they always have their little posse around them, whether it's monkeys or merry men, doesn't matter. So both of them are heroes that I just enjoy tremendously, except when it's Kevin Costner. Luckily, it's not tried Tarzan on yet, and I don't think he will at this point. After
No, I think he's kind of moved on from that.
yeah. Anyway,
we got Alexander Skarsgård though, so I'm happy.
Right, among so many others. All right, so and then one last kind of odd question, and I just kind of came to me the other day, but I thought it'd be fun to explore. Are there any villains, doesn't have to be ones you've named, where you wanted the villain to win? You were more invested in getting that villain, their goal, whether it was revenge or money or world domination, then and you were like, well, damn, they lost. They fell off the building or whatever it was that happened to them. Either one, dive in.
So I went superhero with this one.
Me too.
Because the answer was like right in front of me. And again, I had to pick two because I can't choose between them, but they both kind of have the similar aesthetic. And John, I bet one of these is yours. Killmonger in Black Panther and Magneto in the X-Men.
Yep.
Both
Magneto.
of whom are like, they're not wrong.
Exactly. No, and
it's
that's
a very
problem.
like Malcolm X view of the world, but like I'm kind of all for it. I was pissed when Killmonger died. Like I was not happy of this. And I liked when Magneto and I'm sorry, John, I'll let you go.
No, go ahead.
When Magneto and Professor X, like they eventually come together and they work together, and they'll work together for a while and then they split off again. And that both of those villains, their ideology is sound.
Yeah, I loved it so Magneto's big thing was the mutant self-defense against human persecution. Like, and a lot of people feel that he was justified in taking that stance because it's just
he lived it. He's like, that train is never late, people.
Yeah, it's just it's terrible that yes, they have superpowers. Yes, bad things can happen, but if you don't persecute the ones who aren't using their powers for bad, guess what? They'll probably stand up against the guys who are, so they can maintain their integrity and their name. And they just thought, oh no, I mean, it's man. Here it is again. Man is rearing its ugly head. It needs to move up higher on that AFI list. But man is saying like, oh God, we're so scared. It's got to stop. And Magneto's saying like, no, you guys are persecuting us now. So I really feel like Magneto was in the right, for wanting that self-defense and everything like that. I don't blame him at all. And I would have loved to have seen a world in which that was the truth.
Nice. I one thing I like about film and books and TV versus the real world is it does have a nice structure and a beginning and a middle and an end, and it usually makes some kind of sense. And so I usually am there for the hero wins and the villain gets defeated as long as it's clever and fair and all that stuff. But thinking about it, there's one villain that I wish had won, partly just because it would have been a fabulous final twist, and it also I have my reasons. I'll tell you. Amber's going to know who I mean immediately because it's a film we both talked about. We both picked it before as a favorite film. From Dead Again.
Oh,
with Kenneth. I
thought you were going to pick him as one of your villains, though.
No, because I thought of that. So Kenneth Branagh and his then wife Emma Thompson are in this fantastic movie about reincarnation, and Robin Williams has a fantastic role. A bunch of people in the film. Derek Jacobi plays the villain. Spoiler. Named Franklin.
Well, but to your point, that's one of the movies where you watch it again and you're like, aha.
Yeah, that exactly. He plays Franklin Madison. He is the villain, and he is trying to ends up killing one of the characters in the flashbacks. This film is set in the 1940s and also modern day, because the two main characters are both reincarnated as their new selves from their old selves. And he kills one of them in the previous life when he's a young man. And now he is attempting to kill them again. And for the same stupid reasons, which is basically he likes pretty things.
So I'm waiting to find out why you think he should have won.
Well, I'll tell you, because, and this is philosophical of me, because, so we already know that their characters are going to transpose, they've already been together in one lifetime, and then they come back together in this lifetime. So Franklin could kill them both and be fine, because they will be together in the next lifetime. But they got all their shit worked out this time around. They figured out all the problems. So we know they reincarnate. We know they're going to have a future. So he could totally kill them. And you could even, have a spin-off movie later with like part 3 of who they are. But he gets what he wants. They get what they want. Eternity together. It works out for everybody. And I also just think, so it's like, he gets to be evil and kill everybody, but no one really dies because they're going to come back. And also, I just think it would also, with the couple shocking twists and turns you have throughout the film, where first time viewing it, like the audience did that gasp thing where the whole audience is like, what? All at once. Yes. So great. But I just thought, how fun would it be at the end if you're like, oh, well, now we know who the real villain is of the film because it's been, hidden and misdirected. And then all of a sudden, wait, he does kill them both at the end. It would have been fantastic, like triple flip, land the ending kind of like movie. But
you could have gotten like a mid-credit scene too of in the year 2015
there they are running on the beach together, yes. And it would have been so you still could have had a happy ending for the film, and Franklin could have been in his antique shop counting his money and his jewels and all that stuff. But so that is my single time.
God, I got a lot of homework after
I
this
love
one.
that like John and I went for like social reform, and Robert's like, no, I want the murderer to get away with it.
I did. Well, I think it's. I normally wouldn't, but this is one of the times I can totally justify it, plot wise, karma wise, all the ways. Anyway,
Jacoby, we love him so.
I'm going to run through my runner-ups. I mentioned a couple, but and then I will ask you two for yours, and then we'll get the big reveal. So I briefly thought about Dennis Hopper in Blue Velvet as Frank Booth, who is so horrific.
Gross.
And partly because it just Dayton hates that movie so much that I want to bring it up as often as I can. But I really realized the only reason I picked him is because I really wanted to pick Bob from Twin Peaks because he's the really great villain. But I'll save him for the TV episode.
There you go.
I touched on Clifton Webb as Waldo Lydecker in Laura. Which actually influenced Twin Peaks. There's a character in Twin Peaks called Waldo Lydecker in homage to the film Laura. Amber blocked me early on by pulling out All About Eve, where I had thought of that as Eve Harrington, Little Miss Evil herself, Ann Baxter, disregarded her, although both of those actors got nominated for Best Supporting Actor in their films. And then the one I really had a hard time cutting was Angela Lansbury as Mrs. Iceland in The Manchurian Candidate. She is just horrifically evil and just awful. But there's so much crap going on in real politics right now with evils that I did not want to go there in fiction.
Right.
And my last and most obscure runner-up, this is the one hardly anybody knows about, so I had to plug them a little bit. The movie is called Hangover Square, not Hanover, but Hangover, like when you drink too much. Hangover Square from 1945. The person who wrote the book it's based on is Patrick Hamilton, who wrote Gaslight, and he also wrote Hitchcock's Rope. He was known for these really great, scary, twisty, amazing films and books. He himself had a really tragic life, which was unfortunate. But the movie Hangover Square stars an actor called Laird Craigar. He only made a few movies. One, he did The Lodger, a Hitchcock remake. He played Jack the Ripper. But in this movie, he plays a villain. It is such a brilliant movie. Bernard Herrmann's score that will chill you to the bone. George Sanders, who Amber and I both dig on, he is in this movie playing a cad, of course. But Craigar is just fabulous as this musician who starts to go kind of unhinged as he's composing this piece of music. I won't say lots about it because this is one that, even though it is quite old, many people have not seen.
I've never even heard of this.
Yeah, it is. Well, part of it is because the movie kind of got forgotten because Kragar was going to be a big, big star. He was an amazing talent. He also sadly had a weight problem, and in fact, he died quite young in his 30s, I believe it was, from like too many diet pills, and his heart couldn't take it and all that. But because he wanted to be a leading man, and they kept casting him as, no pun intended, the heavy. But he is amazing in this, and fun little. I already did mention some Broadway, but Stephen Sondheim cites the Bernard Herrmann score, who, of course, he went on to do Psycho and so many great movies later. But the score to this movie is what inspired Sondheim to write Sweeney Todd. He loved the music to this movie so much, the creepy chords and the sinisterness of it, that it was part of his inspiration for that. So look for Hangover Square. I'm sure you've all seen All About Eve and Laura and Blue Velvet, but it's a must-watch film, and it's a very short-lived Leonard Krager and an amazing, fun story. All right,
Nice.
Amber, hit us with some runner-ups.
So I don't actually have that many. The one that was on my list for a long time that I cut because I couldn't believe I had even put her on my list, because what was I thinking? Is Mother Gothel from Tangled.
Oh, nice.
I hate her so much. I almost can't watch the movie. She is so gross. And the fact that she manipulates Rapunzel into thinking she's her mother, and she, just equates love with nothing that even approximates love, and the nasty things she says, and then she's like, ha, I'm just kidding. I cannot stand her. She is the worst villain ever. So then I was like, why would you have someone like that on your list that isn't fun, that you don't like, that does not enhance the movie? So I cut her. But then there's two that I love that were on the list for a really long time. One is from the 1987 movie Black Widow, not the superhero,
Not Scarlett Johansson.
No, not ScarJo, but very sexy. Teresa Russell plays a woman who systematically marries these men and finds that this one has an allergy to penicillin, so she spikes his toothpaste with penicillin, so he has an allergic reaction and dies, so she can take all his money. And it's great how she very subtly she'll change her hair a little bit, but nothing crazy. She will change her accent, but again, nothing crazy, and she just subtly changes who she is to fit in with whoever this man is that she's trying to seduce. And it's absolutely a great 80s movie. And she is a great villain. Just
whatever happened to her? Because I loved her in Black Widow.
Underrated.
She did
a lot.
She did one of, I love director Ken Russell. I talk about him on the show a lot, but he did a horrible movie with her called Whore. They wouldn't let it be shown in theaters because of the name, so they had this ad campaign like, if you can't say it, see it anyway, and whatever.
Nice.
She was great in that movie. She was so good for she was in Bad Timing for Nicholas Roeg, who she ended up marrying. She was like giving Kathleen Turner and some of them a run for the sexy, scary, strong woman thing in that period. And then I had literally forgotten everything about her until you mentioned Black Widow, and I went, oh my God, Teresa Russell, where is she now? So I'll have to see if she's still even active or working. But that movie is not brilliant, but it is good fun, and she is really good in it. Yeah, she is so good in it. Yeah.
And then my other one that Liam and I argued for a solid week over whether or not to have this character on the list. He was firmly in the no category. I kept him on until the very last second. From Interstellar, Dr. Mann.
Oh,
okay.
After, enduring a glimpse at a future Earth where the last to starve will be the first to suffocate, our hero Cooper, he wrenchingly abandons his children to go save humanity on the other side of space. And, we have incredible disappointment and incredible, things go wrong and mistakes are made and there's huge consequences involved. And it's just absolutely gut-wrenching. And we finally focus in on Dr. Mann, who was the pilot of this program. It was his idea. He was the one that was going to save humanity. We were following his lead. This has been his plan the entire time. You've heard a lot about him. You haven't met him. You get a message saying that his planet is the one. And they go through all this hardship to go to his planet, and they get to his camp, and they wake him up from cryosleep, and you're like, yay, Matt Damon's here. We're saved. And then you find out, with betrayal and heartbreak, just exactly who Dr. Mann is and is not. And I will never recover from it. That betrayal is, I'll never get over it. Ever, 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 ever.
Wow. And yet, so why did you cut him?
Well, Liam made a very compelling argument, and Dr. Mann does make this argument for himself in the movie, where he says, until you are absolutely at the brink and terrified, you have no idea what you'll do to survive. And so Liam said that it wasn't fair and that he wasn't really a villain. And I still am like, well, maybe not, but he's a rat bastard and he's a liar, lying liar. And
so would he be number one on your top rat bastards list?
Yes, for sure. Absolutely. The betrayal. Matt Damon, how could you?
So mine are easy. I have Thanos. He almost made my list.
See, I don't like him because he's too powerful. I don't like a villain that you can't defeat.
Yeah, but they eventually do. So, just saying.
Wow. That's
Freddy
a
Krueger,
whole discussion.
Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers. Those were on my list as well.
Yes.
But I saw them more as the horror side of things and maybe not necessarily a villainy thing. But Norman Bates, crazy. And then my last one, Yzma.
Oh, God. No, Yzma cannot.
No.
That's why. That's exactly why. Because I had Yzma down at first. I was like, oh my God, I love Yzma. She's a villain, right?
No.
But she's not really. She's just comic
Shake him
relief.
down. I'm gonna put him in a box. I'm gonna put that box in another box.
Oh, the lever crunk.
Oh my word.
So that was my
She's
list.
memorable. Whatever she is memorable.
Listeners, go back to our Emperor's New Groove.
Oh my God, please do.
Episode so that you can listen to me and John and Dayton just quote the movie for it's 45 minutes.
Amazing.
I don't think we talked about anything constructive.
Maybe not.
That
No,
is
we
hilarious.
pulled a lot of levers that night.
Nice, good one. We have mentioned a lot of villains. We have a lot of 21 villains. With only one repetition. We had a whole bunch of runners up, and a whole bunch of people got mentioned in passing. But we have not mentioned our number ones yet, and I think this has got to be the moment. So, Disney John, start us off with your number one film villain, and this is going to be compelling because we have heard some great nasty names already.
Okay, so my number one is the same as AFI's number one, and it's because I think he's the most memorable.
Biscuits. It's my number one.
I love it.
I'll help you catch him, Clary.
Oh my God, give me the fava beans and some Chianti. Hannibal Lecter, baby. I just think he is an iconic villain. He is evil. He escapes at the end. He's still defeatable, but he escapes at the end. He is amazing, and Anthony Hopkins portrays him like chef's kiss. Like, he is absolutely a terrifying figure throughout the movie, and it's like the whole time he's caged or masked or anything like that. It's like you're just trying to cage the evil that's in this human being, and yet can't. And he is just so unapologetic about the entire thing. And even when he escapes and he makes a phone call to Clarice, he's completely unapologetic. It's like, yeah, I'm going to go out and have dinner now. Yeah. He's so good. He's so good.
Yep. It is absolutely one of the greatest film performances ever. I love this movie so much. I mean, I adore Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
I am
too.
her biggest fan in the world. And love this movie. And the thing that gets me is you get this slow burn with Lecter where, you know, he's just showing incredible charm and intelligence. He's not really showing you why you should necessarily be terrified of him. You're hearing about horrible things that he's done. And he even cops to horrible things that he's done.
Oh, yeah.
But he's so charming and he's so polite.
Cultured.
And so, yeah. And so you don't really feel it. And what I love about the sequence when he escapes is that sequence actually begins 10 minutes before when Jodie Foster arrives, and she is desperately, she's not supposed to be there. She sneaks in. She's trying to get one last piece of information out of him before they catch her and throw her out of the building. And he, like a cat with a mouse, just plays with her and plays with her and plays with her for 10 whole minutes, like completely psychologically picks her apart. Never gives her what she wants.
Nope.
And then sends her on her way. And so your brain is like ready to melt because of all this manipulation that you have just experienced with her. And then you see how evil and how terrifying he really is.
Oh, yeah.
And it is just brutal and disgusting, and you just can't believe it. And it's clever, and he thinks of everything, and it's just absolutely diabolical. And, you know, that last conversation, like you said, when he calls her on the phone, you know, he's like, I don't have any plans to call on you, and I hope you'll extend me the same courtesy.
Yep.
And it's just chilling knowing that even if he's not after you, he's out there in the world, just moving through the world. I mean, I cannot say enough about this movie. I can't say enough about this performance. So, Robert, are you outside the box?
Yeah.
Well, I'm outside the box a little bit on this one, but so I mentioned Patrick Hamilton before, who wrote Rope and wrote Hangover Square and stuff. This began as a play called Angel Street. It is still in the top 10 of longest running non-musical plays in Broadway history. This role that I'm going to pick as my number one villain was originated by Vincent Price, who was no slouch in the villain realm. This was a stage role he did before he went Hollywood. The play was called Angel Street after the location. The name got changed for the film. We know it now as Gaslight. So my villain is Gregory Anton, or Sergius Bauer, depending on which name you think is his real name. He also, Charles Boyer, the actor, was nominated for an Academy Award for his role in this film. Ingrid Bergman won. Angela Lansbury debuted, and she was nominated in her very first film for a very short part, but was great. The movie is kind of like Silence of the Lambs. It is just perfect from beginning to end. Director George Cukor, who we'll be talking about in a future episode, directed it kind of out of his zone, but he did a brilliant job directing it. It's another one of those claustrophobic kind of stories that basically all takes place in a single home. They did try and open it up a little, but it's basically in a single house, a husband, a wife, a maid, a couple other characters. His character is just so evil. And
I could never watch Charles Boyer in another thing.
Yeah, well, he looks like a lizard anyway, with those eyes and just the way he looks. And Ingrid Bergman is at her most radiant and gorgeous and vulnerable and beautiful. So you hate him even more because she's, wonderful Paula, Ingrid Bergman, and such a great movie. And I just think there's nothing redeeming about him at all. And the reason I put him, though, besides I love this movie and stuff. This is the film that gave us the word gaslight. I mean, it is, he's so villainous that what he did is now gaslighting somebody is now part of our vocabulary. And his performance is good. The film is fabulous. His performance is excellent. But I that was the tipping point for me, was the fact that he gave villainy an entire new word for the lexicon, was that one. So, there you have it, folks. We have talked about so many evil people. I feel like I need to go take a cold shower.
I know, I need a shower.
Play with my puppy or something. This is just awful. Did we mention the person that you love to hate? Did we talk about any of your favorite villains? Let us know. Send us some comments. We'd love to know if we left anybody out or recognized one of your unsung, well, not heroes, one of your unsung villains. I want to thank Dastardly Disney John for being here with us tonight.
As always, I'm happy to be here. Love talking about my villains.
Indeed. It's so nice to get away from all the Disney and sparkly we usually talk about on the show.
Right.
And yes, and of course the Mistress of Madness, also known as the voice of reason in Topsy World. Amber Lewis, thank you for being here with us today.
Oh, it was my pleasure. I had so much fun prepping for this episode. I can't even tell you.
Listeners, Amber was very into this. Like a week and a half ago, I got a screenshot of a notebook page filled with her notes and thoughts already about this episode. So, yeah, this is, I don't know what that says, more about you or more, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, thank you all for being with us. We want to thank, of course, our Patreon members for supporting our show. If you're not doing that, think about joining. For a small donation, you can get bonus content and all kinds of fun features that our regular listeners could have if they joined, but don't otherwise. So we really appreciate all of you. We have some fantastic episodes coming up in May. Darkman, District 9, and Solo, a Star Wars story. Yes. Those will be coming, as well as some other fun things down the road. Remember to watch more TV and movies, listen to more music, and as always, physical media is better than streaming. Bye, everybody.
The Docking Bay 77 podcast is produced and edited by Dayton Johnson, recorded with Rode Pod mics, the Zoom PodTrack P4, and edited on Audacity. Opening music provided by Eric Jason Brock. You can find him on YouTube and Bandcamp. Thank you for listening.